Um, Remind me, what did I teach the last time that I taught and you were here? What was that one? It wasn't buyers, I don't think.
It was either the land acquisition was building costs.
It wasn't land. I don't do land. It was probably work your database. Okay, cool. Um, okay, Sophia, right? Okay, Sophia Ashlyn has been for one of my classes before. Um, but my name is Cody Felberg. I let's see. I've been licensed for almost 7 years, so not super long. Um, but you probably have heard the statistics. The average is less than 3 transactions per realtor. Did you know that in 20, we don't have the numbers for 2025 yet. Did you know that that we had 75% of all licensed agents in Utah sold 0 homes in 2024? Not one. Now, how many of those are full-time agents? There's no way you're full-time and selling 0 houses. But what happens is, right, a lot of people get their license because it's kind of easy to get your license, right? The bar for entry is pretty low. So they get their license, they think, I'm going to be a realtor, it's going to be fun, I'll be good at it. I like looking at houses because they legitimately think that's what a realtor does, is looks at houses, right? And it's hard. You got to generate business, you got to generate enough business to have enough income to do just this, and that's not in the cards for everybody, or at least not the way they're trying to do it. So my first full calendar year with my license was 2020. I sold 29 homes in 2020. 2021 was obviously a crazy year real estate wise. I sold 53 homes in 2021. And since then, it's fluctuated. I owned a team. The biggest, I had 7 agents on my team. And over the last couple of years, I've whittled it down to now it's just me, and it's wonderful. Not that I didn't like having a team, but I like not having a team better. Um, but and so now, so this last year, I sold 44. I think I sold 44 homes in 2025. But today we're going to be going over buyers, right? How to work with buyers. And so I'm going to run through, and we're just going to have a list of like beginning to end. What are the things you need to do for when you're helping represent a buyer? Okay. Because there's a lot of things that unfortunately, though they should be sort of common sense, unfortunately, they're not. Okay. And feel free to, like, if you have questions in the middle, instead of swallowing it till the end and forgetting it, feel free to like stop me and ask a question. Okay. There's only a few of us. So like, let's, make sure that you get as much out of this as you can. And I will tell you just right off the bat, I don't operate like most agents do. I just don't. Everyone's all about like systems. I don't have a freaking system. I have like, and you'll see like, I have bullet points of these things all need to happen. When they happen, how they happen, that should, in my opinion, that should change depending on who my client is. It should change depending on the transaction, right? Because if I'm catering to my client, then the way I do things with them will be a little different than how I do things with another client. And so I don't have this, I don't know, this like Bible of exactly what happens and when. I just don't. Every client is going to be a little bit different. I've got a buyer right now that I'm having to do things way different than I've done with other buyers because he's an idiot. Nicest dude. How's it going? But this buyer just doesn't understand anything. I have to have the same conversation with him like 5 times. So much so that actually I was on the phone with him in my car last week. My 13-year-old daughter is in the car with me, and I explained something to my client. It's clear he doesn't get it. I have to explain it again. He asks a question. He's clear he doesn't get it. I get off the phone and my 13-year-old goes, he's not real bright, is he? So that's the dealer or the buyer I was dealing with at that point. But that's why, so what I'm going to go through here, obviously it's going to be like best practice, right? But it will and should shift and adjust depending on your buyer, depending on the situation. Okay. What's your name? Ian. And yours? Stacy. Nice to meet you guys. I'm Cody. I was just telling these guys, Ashlyn's been in one of my classes before. This is Sophia. Looks like some of you have met. So I'll just give a quick background. I've been licensed about 7 years. I'm doing 35 to 50 home sales every year, which puts me in the top like 2%-ish. And I will tell you, this is going to sound a little condescending. It's not that hard. And obviously it's easy to say it's not that hard now, but year one, I sold 29 homes. This can be done, right? You've got to find the way that you do what you do and where works the best for you. There's a guy who is an adjunct professor at MIT's business school. And he's worth like 150 million bucks. He's started and sold a bunch of companies, that kind of stuff, done really well. And people always ask him, how did he find what he's passionate about? And he said, I didn't. I found the thing that would reward me the most for the time I put into it. So I have time and financial freedom to do the things I'm actually passionate about separately. Okay. I feel the same about real estate. I don't like knocking doors. Who does? But guess what I'm really good at? Knocking doors. I don't ever knock doors, by the way, except for I've got an appointment this afternoon. I have a client. They told me we want to live in this neighborhood in North Salt Lake, one little neighborhood. It's like a circle. There's like 45 houses. We want to live in there. That's it. That's where they wanted to be. So last week I went up and I spent an hour. That's it. Knocking some doors. I only got through like 12 doors, and I have an appointment today. I found someone who wants to sell their house, and I'm going back with my clients to see if it works for them. Okay. No one likes knocking doors, but when I started, I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to try everything. Because what if I'm really good at knocking doors? I don't want to do it, but what if that gets me the best return for the time put in? Because there's no financial investment, right? It's time. What if I can spend 2 hours knocking and find a client? What can you spend 2 hours doing and guaranteed find a client every time? Like there's nothing. So that was part of how I got started as well. And there's lots of ways to do this. The trick is, I'm going to tell you all right now that when it comes to lead generation, I would try everything, because you may be awesome at open houses. You might not be. You might suck at open houses. I've been to open houses with clients of mine when we're looking at a bunch of homes on a Saturday, and it's clear that the agent hosting the open house is not good at this. They need to find another way to do some lead gen, because this isn't it. And that's okay. It's totally okay to not be good at what everyone else tells you should be good at. Oh gosh, so many things. Well, the first thing I will tell you is you've got to get over like customer voice. You know the voice people use when they're making a sales call and you answer the phone and they're calling you? Hi. Or when you go to the bank, the best example I use is the bank. Have any of you been to the bank recently? Okay, you go to the teller and it sounds like someone's got a gun to their head and is making them talk to you. They're like, so, got big plans for the weekend? It's like, have you ever talked to a human being? Okay, like it's so awkward. It sounds forced. They don't want to do it. It's not comfortable. So the first thing you got to do is get over customer voice, right? But just interact with them the way you would interact with someone that there is a connection to, but maybe you haven't met them, right? Like, for example, I know Kyle here. If Kyle said, hey, Cody, I'm going to send you my little brother, but I've never met his little brother. I'm not going to talk. Well, I should, but most of you wouldn't interact with and talk to his little brother, who he is referring to you, the same way you would talk to a complete stranger. Why? He is a stranger. You should talk to him different, right? There should be some level of familiarity there. Just talk to everyone like that. And most people can't do that. So that's what's awful about open houses that are being sat by an agent that is not the listing agent. And that's the other thing I'll tell you, like right off the bat, that's one of the things I talk about is I do everything myself. I host all my own open houses unless there is a reason that I can't. If I'm going to be out of town, okay, whatever, I can't do that one. If I've got another open house, sometimes I stagger them. I did 3 open houses 3 Saturdays ago, back to back to back. I host all my own open houses because who's going to give people walking through an open house the best experience? The listing agent who's trying to sell the house, or an agent who has no connection to the listing and is trying to pick up clients, right? Who's going to give the best experience at an open house? It's going to be me and my own listing. So anyway, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with doing all of these things. You can do all of them. You can get a lot of business. I've picked up a lot of clients from open houses. Generally, they're my own open houses, but okay. So this is buyers. I take a lot of pride in a couple things. One of those is that my clients constantly tell me they feel like they're my only client. Clearly, they're not, right? I just told you I sold 44 homes in 2025. Clearly, they're not my only client. But I get told constantly that people feel like my only client because I don't use showing agents. I show every house my clients see. Again, unless something's going on, I had an agent that I'm friends with show a house for me up in Ogden yesterday. It's actually my listing and an unrepresented buyer wanted to see it, but they wanted to see his house in Ogden. And I had appointments like all day. I had an inspection going on down in Spanish Fort or Salem, and I had things to be. I couldn't go. That's when I will use another agent to do something for me, right? Other than that, I will try to negotiate and navigate a schedule that works where I can be the one to do it. Okay. But that's something I take a lot of pride in, is that my clients tell me that we felt like that we're your only client. And man, I don't know what I would have done without you. I hear that a lot. And that makes me super proud. More than the income and all this kind of stuff, I am super proud of the fact that my clients at the end feel grateful for me rather than feeling like they did me a favor. If your clients feel like they did you a favor by letting you help them and represent them, then you've done things wrong. And that can kind of start. I've got a buyer right now. We're under contract. In the first couple of weeks we were looking at homes, he tried to subtly, without being super brazen about it, tried to, in a roundabout way, ask me if I would give him some of the commission. How do you have that conversation? Kyle, when someone asks you, hey, so I have a buddy who said he was going to give me some of the commission, like he says that's pretty common. Is that something that you do? So honestly, I wouldn't even go to that. That's a great response, but I don't even go to like promising them that I'll save them money, because I will, right? But what I will always fall, because you're going to have people ask you this, by the way. Okay. My default is, that's not something I do. If that's what's really important to you, you can find a lot of agents that will do that for you. Those aren't the kind of agents that you want to hire. If they're so desperate for business that they will give you their income to have you as their client. If you want to have those guys represent you, that's fine. But if they're getting less commission, they expect it to be easier. What makes it easier? Less negotiating, less pushing, all this stuff, less representing you. So that's, it will come up. People will ask you. But those are things I don't do, and makes it easy. I justify my value rather than bring the cost down, right? Okay, so we're going to go through, really this is going to be sort of like the ideal, right, way. Now, not everything has to happen in the order we're going to go through, but everything has to happen. Okay, so how many of you have active buyers right now? Okay, so just kind of, so those of it, how long have you been licensed, Ian? Not licensed yet. Okay, how much longer do you have?
Like,
Sweet, you're close. Awesome. Okay, and you're coming to Westfield?
yeah.
Cool. I will tell you, KW is, in my opinion, the best combo of resources and cost. There are cheaper brokerages that provide almost nothing, and there are brokerages that provide this level of resource and support and cost way more. Okay, I feel like that KW is a really good sweet spot in between. But what you need to do is, as you're new, Stacy, is that what it was? Stacy, how long have you been licensed? Okay, so you're new, Sophia? Okay, so you're close. And then Ashlyn, remind me, 2-3 weeks you've had your license active? Okay, sweet. One thing that all of you should do is identify a go-to lender. Who are you going to refer your clients to? Okay. How do you choose that lender? So who do you refer to?
I have two or three,
Okay. Who's your go-to though?
a little bit. So I have like one at First Colony Mortgage because they're a preferred lender for several of the builders. And when I go to over there, John Aldrich is very mature. That's who I put my parents in contact with because he meets them very much at their level.
Do you want to hear what John told me like a month ago? I've known John Aldrich since I was in like 7th grade. He called me because when people are looking to do something with a First Colony builder, right? If we're not sure yet if the builder is going to give us the concessions if we don't use First Colony, I'll have them run through John. They also have my preferred lender in their back pocket. John has told me if he is competing for the business, he doesn't want me to send him to him anymore. Yeah. Well, mine was a few months ago. Well, it's probably been longer. It's probably been like 7 or 8 months now. But anyway, now he's getting more urgent for the business, apparently. He's like, yeah, I want to compete. But I thought it was kind of funny. But so having a few that you know that, what is he a broker?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would have, like have a few options, right? Just in case. My go-to lender, his name is Miles Pitcher. He owns Superior Lending. They're a brokerage. Almost always they have the best combo of rates and pricing. Sometimes someone will be offering a lower rate, but their upfront cost is enough that it doesn't actually end up being any cheaper. Or their upfront cost is really low, but you're paying for it in the rate, right? So I have a lender that I identified and I've worked with for years now who he's the best combo, I think. Now, there's going to be a tendency for some of you to default to a lender who is giving you something. Okay. What's that? No. So what they can do is they can like co-market with you, right? They can split the cost of leads. They can split the cost of client events, right? Like they're things for your clients or things that generate business and they can share in the cost of them. They can't pay more than 50%. Okay. So if they were like, hey, we'll pay 50% of leads for you, right? That's why a lot of realtors will, hey, I'll use this person because they with the cost of my leads. Almost everybody in real estate claims, and I think they're all full of crap, claims that like they're in real estate because they really care about helping people, right? I'm in it for my clients. If you're in it for your clients, then why does what the lender gives you have any bearing on who you refer your clients to? It shouldn't, right? So my lender, I send him so much freaking business. He would do a lot for me if I asked. Do you know what I get from him and what I ask for from him? 0. I want him to take care of my clients. He gets my referrals because he does that. The most important thing is that my clients get the best possible loan options, the best possible cost, and that we get across the finish line and they're taken care of and I don't have a lender that screws up. That is the most important thing to me. And because of that, he gets the majority of my business and my clients are always well taken care of. And if they want to shop prices, go for it. I'm not telling you don't do that. Go for it. I've even got other lenders I'll send you to. Go shop them because I know where you're going to land. You're going to land back here with Miles because his team is on top of it. They're great at baby stepping people through if they need it. They're good at being hands off and just communicating via text and email if the client needs that. But I would identify for you guys, identify a go-to lender. Interview them a little bit, right? What's their bread and butter? Talk to agents who work with them and ask them why they work with them. Why do you like them? Right? But in my opinion, you should be putting in the legwork to find someone good to refer your clients to. Okay. So the first thing for you guys would be, I would identify a lender that you, or a couple. Now there's a tendency to feel like, ooh, I don't want to get in trouble. So I'm going to give my clients 3 lenders to talk to, so they don't feel like I'm trying to push them to one lender, right? I don't worry about that anymore. I used to, because I tell all my clients, you can use whoever you want to use. This is the lender that I'm going to send you to at the beginning. If you don't want to work with them, you don't have to work with them. But there's a few things that I know. I've gotten approval letters from other lenders for clients I'm working with that the approval letter was total crap. They hadn't verified any documents, income, nothing. It was like verbal. They asked them, hey, Sophia, what's your income? Oh, it's 120,000. Oh, and what are your, what are your monthly, like what kind of debt do you carry monthly? Oh, I've got this. And you know what people do? They forget stuff. They leave stuff out, right? And they often overestimate. They're not getting 120, they're getting paid 104, right? And this lender is just asking these questions, no verification of anything, and giving you an approval letter saying you qualify for $600,000. Guess what else you haven't seen, that buyer hasn't seen? A lot of times those lenders don't tell them what that payment will be either. Yeah, they qualify for it based on the verbal conversation you had, but they don't know what that payment will be. And if they did, they wouldn't be shopping at $600,000. They would have chopped it to 5. Does all this make sense? Okay. So you want to identify a lender that is doing all of that. My lender will not send me an approval letter or tell me a budget until they've seen income documents, until they've pulled a credit report, until they've gone through and tried to verify assets and debt. And before they ever even tell this person what they qualify for, they say, what type of monthly payment are you comfortable with? Because just if I qualify for $1.8 million, but I'm not willing to make that kind of a payment, then I'm not shopping at $1.8 million. It doesn't matter that I qualify for that. If I tell you I want my budget to be X, and that means the budget is now 1.2, guess where I'm going to be shopping? 1.2, right? But that doesn't happen. And do you know why it doesn't happen? Lenders are just like realtors right now in terms of like business is hard. It's hard to get business right now. And so what a lot of them are concerned with is, if I tell them what this payment will be now, and they go out and look for homes that fit that budget, they won't like the homes that are available for the budget that puts the payment at a point that works, and they'll decide to hold off on buying a home. They don't want them to do that. They want them to fall in love with a home, be emotionally invested, then see the payment. Because now they've got a reason to make this work. Okay, we don't want that, right? We don't want that. We want this to be a good experience for our clients. And the way that we make it a good experience is we try to remove frustrating and stressful scenarios for them as much as we can, right? That's our job. Make the stressful and frustrating parts of this as stress-free and non-frustrating as we can. Okay, so identify a go-to lender based on some of that criteria. And then before I will show them homes multiple times, I'll go and see homes with them one time without getting with my lender, but only once. Some agents won't even do that, and maybe they're making the right move and I'm not. I don't know. But I won't take them out multiple times to see homes until I've gotten them approved. Okay, so I would get them pre-approved with a lender. Oops, 2 P's, not 1 P. Okay, so get them pre-approved. And again, our job here is to make our clients feel not just comfortable, but confident. Okay, and one of the things they need to be confident in is that you are 100% looking out for them. That what is best for them is the only thing that matters. Okay, Unfortunately, most agents, what's best for the agent comes first, client comes second. And that's just reality. I've had agents who will call me asking, hey, what's your seller offering commission-wise on this listing? Say, hey, my client's only budgeted 2.5. They can't afford any more than that. Well, if they're not willing to pay 3%, then I'm not going to show that home. Are they concerned about their client if they won't even show them a home that checks all the boxes if they get 0.5% less commission? No. Dude, I've had so many people say it. Back in 2021, like I would have like agents call, because you didn't have to pay almost any commission back then to get them sold on a listing. Like I'd have listings where my clients were unwilling to pay more than like 1%. Because they were like, I know it's going to be a feasting like a frenzy, a feeding frenzy. I'll have a bunch of offers, even at 1%. I tried to talk them out of it, but it is what it is. And I would have agents tell me like, hey, if you're not willing to pay more than 1%, I won't show it. I'm like, I get it. You're not taking care of your client, but I get it. So your client should know that what is best for them comes first, okay? So there's some conversations that I have with my clients around that to make them feel confident that I am looking out for them, and that's all that matters. One of those conversations I have is, I am not going to ask you or the lender how much you qualify for. I tell them this, like, hey, I don't care how much you qualify for. You let me know where the budget is. As long as you qualify for that, I'm good. I'll send you homes as cheap as we can possibly get that check the boxes you're looking for. I had a client call me like 2 weeks ago. He and his wife were laughing because they're like, dude, you're the first realtor who's sending us listings like $200,000 below our budget. And at the moment I was confused. I thought they didn't like it. I'm like, well, but the ones I'm sending you check all the boxes that you gave me. They're like, no, we love it. In the past, our realtors all they send us are listings right up at the budget that we told them. We told them 1.2, so everything they send us is like 115, 1.2. Right? And I'm sending them stuff at like $900,000. But like everything they told me they wanted is there. If we can save $300,000 and get you something you're happy with, that's awesome. That's a win. Okay. So I tell my clients, I will not ask what you qualify for. I don't care. As long as you qualify for the budget you tell me you want to stick to. Okay. And that, again, saying these kinds of things, I have a lot of things I tell my clients, and it's not just lip service, it's true, but I want them to know multiple times, like, hey, I am here to make sure you're pumped at the end of this. Because what you don't want as you try to build a business, you don't want someone to close on a home, they're happy in the moment, and then 6 months later, a year later, they're like, I shouldn't have done this. Okay, you don't want that. Because now, even if it was their decision, had nothing to do with you, you are now lumped into this negative experience. And they associate you with it, even though it may not have been your doing, okay? But there are sometimes things that you could have done to maybe avoid some of that stuff. Okay. So again, here are some things that I say to them to help them feel confident. I say, buying a home is stressful, and at times it's overwhelming. My job is to remove as much of that stress from you as I can, right? I'm going to insulate them from as much of this as I can. I tell them I'm going to do it, and then I do it. The pre-approval, the reason I don't want to be taking them out, showing them a bunch of homes before we do a pre-approval is why? Okay. A lot of times realtors default to, I don't want to waste my time. Okay. That's what most agents think. Again, who is more important to them? Them. That's why their motivation is, I don't want to waste my time. Dude, screw wasting my time. I'm going to have clients that will like a house that they find out isn't even in their budget. Or they'll start to get a sense for, here are the kinds of houses that I want. And those kinds of houses aren't anywhere near their budget. That is so frustrating. It's such a bummer for your clients. And again, now you are lumped into this negative experience. They've had the experience. Yeah, you're trying to build a business. You don't want to be a part of a negative experience, but it makes them freaking sad. It sucks. It's really painful for people to find out the homes they've been looking at and envisioning themselves in aren't in the realm of possibility. That sucks. Again, we want to try to insulate them from that. Okay. I want to try to prevent that frustration. So I straight up tell my clients. So I had a new buyer consult on what's the name? Wednesday, on Monday, with a referral from my electrician. Okay. It's one of his employees. So I'm talking with him and his wife. I say, hey, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have you get pre-approved. And she says, we're not sure if we want to buy soon yet. So I think we'd rather hold off on that. I say, look, I totally understand. Tell me, Lily, where are you getting the budget that we're shopping with then? How are you deciding what homes to look at? She's like, well, we've looked at mortgage calculators. I'm like, okay, but do you know what your rate is actually going to be? Do you know what loan program we're going to use? How do you know what your payment will really be? We don't even know. Are you going FHA? Are you going conventional? Are we doing a down payment grant loan and keeping your cash in your pocket? Right? Like, we don't know what any of these things are going to be. You don't know what your monthly payment will be. How are we identifying what homes you're looking at? Because there's a very real possibility you're looking at homes that you wouldn't be willing to make the monthly payment for. It's not that you can't afford, you wouldn't be willing to afford. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that we are operating with as much info as possible and that we don't make your life more frustrating by looking at homes that are not actually homes you'd be willing to afford. That's a really easy explanation, okay? Has nothing to do with wasting my time, has to do with saving them from pain and frustration. Oh yeah, they always do. But again, this is in their best interest, right? I'm trying to help them have a good experience and get a home that they'll be happy with. And you know what they won't be happy with? They won't be happy with a $450,000 home if they were looking at $600,000 homes, thinking about what life will be like in that house. There's not going to be. And a lot of times that will end up making them decide, I'll wait. Is waiting actually going to help? If a home is in the 600s right now, is there any chance it's in like the low fives, like $100,000 cheaper at any point? No, there's like no chance. We've been dealing with garbage, awful rates for almost 4 years now. And you know what's not moved very much? House prices. Okay. Again, we're here to take care of them. This is a really easy way to start them off on the right foot. Okay. And again, make sure they know you can use whatever lender you want. I'm going to have you do an approval with my lender to get the ball rolling, because I know that if they give you an approval, that they're good for it. They've taken everything into account, and that is a realistic budget for us that we can then shop with. Okay. All right. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to identify your search parameters. Okay. And what you want to do, there's a lot of homes on the market right now, right? There's a lot of homes on the market. What you want to do is you want to, let me start over. If you start too narrow and specific on what you're searching for, what they're searching for, people can get frustrated very easily, right? Oh, there's nothing. There's a lot. So what we want to do is we want to start wider. And if there's just a ton of options, then we can start to narrow the search. Okay. You want to start wide and then narrow, rather than starting too narrow and then trying to open it up. Because now, again, same thing with the budget. If you start too narrow, they're not liking what they find. Now you're adjusting the search based off of frustration. I'm not finding things. Okay. I want to be in this area. So the clients I told you that they told me this is the neighborhood we want to be in North Salt Lake, we've been looking at homes for 2 years. Okay. Now it's like 2 homes every 3 months. Okay. So it's not a lot. In terms of how much time I've actually worked with them compared to a client that we're looking at homes for a month, it's probably pretty similar. It's just spread out over 2 years instead of condensed. But we started wide, and over the last 2 years has gone by, it's narrowed, and they're like, okay, that's where we want to be. Right. And so I found them one. And we'll see today if they like it and we want to go through with it. This lady is 93 and she's in a nursing home, and I got her. And she doesn't want to put it on the market. But so you want to start really a little bit wider than they think. Okay. So the things I tell my clients is, I'm going to open up the search a little bit beyond the criteria you give me. Not because I want you to adjust or settle for a house that you're not happy with, in a place you're not happy with, or something like that. But what I've had happen too many times is my clients are a little bit rigid on the search criteria, right? Has to have 2,500 square feet. Okay. They're rigid on it. So they don't want to see things that are under 2,500 square feet. So I don't send it. And then they're like, oh, we found this one. It would have been perfect. I'm like, it's 2,400 square feet. You told me don't send you anything below 2,500. But it checked every other box. They would have adjusted by 100 square feet, right? So again, I tell my clients, I would rather open it up a little bit beyond the borders you give me. I would rather you see that this home exists. You can decide if it's worth looking at or if it's not. It's easy to say, nope, don't want to see it. It's harder for you to see, oh crap, that would have been great. What do you mean? It's in PG. You told me American Fork only, right? So there's some of this that you need to save them from themselves a little bit, okay? They're going to be a little bit too narrow-minded in some of this stuff. So you want to identify, and you want to ask every question. Okay, so Ian, have you bought a house? Okay, so if you were looking for a house, and I say, how many bedrooms?
I haven't really thought about that. I mean, I guess a 3-bedroom.
Okay, 3-bedroom. That's a very common answer, right? 3-bedroom. Okay, do you know what most realtors do right now? They put 3-bedroom down. I'm looking for 3 bedrooms plus. Okay, what about 2 bedrooms plus an office? Well, yeah, that's what I would use a 3rd bedroom for anyway. Okay, so then I'm not going to look for 3 bedrooms. I'm going to look for 2 plus. And then I am the filter, and I'm looking through and making sure, okay, bedroom 1, bedroom 2, here's the office space, here's the den space, whatever it would be. Okay, so it's my job to clarify a little bit of that. Okay, do you actually need 3 bedrooms, or you need 3 spaces? Okay, again, I'm the expert. I'm the pro. I'm the one that should know what conversations to have, how to narrow this for you. Go for it.
Guys have a much higher quality interaction with your clients. This is stuff he's telling you right now, stuff you're going to figure out in 2 or 3 years. And be doing it 2 or 3 years down the road after you have 20, 30 reps with clients. He's giving you the shortcut right now. Love your stuff.
Oh, you're good.
He's giving you guys the shortcut to how to be a good agent really quickly versus a bumbling idiot your first 4 or 5 grand evidence. And I don't mean that as an insult, but we've all been there. We've all made mistakes. We evolve as we get better. And so Cody's giving you kind of that shortcut of stuff to think about how to have a little bit better conversation so that your first few transactions go really well.
So about a year ago, I had a high producing agent ask me, like, dude, why are you telling people how to do what you do? It's because one of 2 things typically happens. Either it makes them uncomfortable, so they won't go do it, or they're not capable of doing it. If you can, go for it. There's plenty of business for all of us. I know that most people won't, which is a bummer, but if you can, go do it. Right. And by the way, I practiced these conversations for years. My wife hates riding in the car with me, just the 2 of us, because I make her practice this with me. Not like, hey, let's make up a scenario. I'm like, hey, my client wants this. I need to work through how to tell them that this is what's going to happen. And so I make her do that back and forth with me. Like, if I said this, how would you feel? What would you say? She hates it. But it works. Okay. So again, hey, I'm going to open up search criteria a little because I don't want you to miss a home that checks every box, but is maybe beyond a little bit of what you were hoping for. Okay. If you tell me you want to be within, do you guys, by the way, do you know that in the MLS, do you know that you can do like a commute time search radius? Do you know that? when you're looking for a homes on the MLS, you can say, I ask my clients drive time. What are the important locations for you? What do you need to be close to? Well, I don't want to be more than 20 minutes from work. Okay, so Ashlyn, you've fiddled with the MLS. If someone tells you, I want to be within 20 minutes of my work that is at this address, how are you adjusting the map to see the homes that are within that? Do you know how? Okay, so what would you do? You would just pick like a mileage radius maybe? Do you know how to do that? Do you know how to set up like a radius in the map? Hey, so you know how to do that. So let me show you guys. It's gonna make me frickin' log in, isn't it? Can we even see this? I can't even see the mouse. There it is. Oh, I hate having to log in. I don't know my password. Okay. It's saved on my phone. Anyway. What's that? Yeah, Kyle, will you come log in real quick? So I'll show you how to do this, because again, these are going to be the things that most realtors aren't, either they're not using or they're not showing their clients that they're using. So again, there's going to be a little bit of this need to justify your value, especially when you're new, right? So how do you do that? It's things like this. It's the conversation of, I want 3 bedrooms. Okay, can I ask, do we actually need 3 bedrooms, or do you need 2 bedrooms and then you need another space that you can use for an office or something? And like, oh, well, yeah, that. Okay, that has opened up more possibilities for, right? More homes that could maybe check the boxes, right? Do we have to have a garage, or is that just like what we would want? What if it's got a covered, like a 2-car carport? Is that like out of the realm possibility? Because again, you want them to be more open rather than less open. Okay, and the big thing is here, clarify, clarify, clarify. Hey, we need 2 bathrooms. What does that mean? Stacy, if someone says, I want 3 bed, 2 bath, what does that mean? Okay, you would think they want 2 full bathrooms. Okay, and again, this is where you show, I know what I'm doing. I've figured out the miscommunications here. Okay, so 2 bathroom. Do you mean 2 shower or tub spaces? Are you trying to just do these ones?
So like,
Yeah, I was like, I forgot that you were over here. I'm like, what the crap is going on? Okay, so again, like, do you want 2 bath or tub spaces, or just, you don't want guests to have to use your bathroom? Is 1.5 bath okay? I have people tell me all the time, we want 3 bathrooms. Okay, 2.5 bath or 3 full bathrooms? Like, oh no, we don't need 3 full bathrooms. Okay, but they tell you, I want 3 bathrooms. Okay, again, this is clarify, clarify, clarify. You don't want to be sending them homes that don't even check the basic boxes for them, right? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So when you are doing a search, where's my mouse? There we go. Okay, I'm going to go here to search. Okay, I'm going to look active. I'm going to look for like 800. And by the way, you can just type 800 and it puts the 1,000 in there for you, right? I'm going to go single family. Okay, now I can go in here to view map. For those of you that are new, I can hit this radius tool, right? This, I almost only ever use the radius tool when I'm pulling comps, because an appraiser goes like a mile out, okay? So that's when I use the radius tool. If I'm doing a search for a client who's shopping for a home, I generally will limit it by the cities they tell me they're open to. Or, pardon me, or I will go right here. You see this car? Okay, if they tell me, hey, I work at 14 North, 920 East, Orem. Okay, I want to be within 20 minutes. That means that I'm going to search 25 minutes. Again, and I tell them this, okay, you want to be within 20 minutes? Great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run 25 minutes. Because what if there's a home that is literally perfect? It's 3 minutes farther. You're really telling me that's not an option for you? Like, oh yeah, that would be. Oh, of course it would, right? They'd be crazy to like 3 minutes farther is just, that's too far. Okay. So I'm going to adjust by 5 minutes. And then right here, with an arrival time of when? I have to be at work by 8 o'clock every morning. Okay. So now what this is going to do, you're going to see that the map will get a little funky because it takes into account traffic patterns, speed limits on different streets. Okay, look at that. Someone who tells you, I want to be within 20 minutes of this address in Orem, are they typically thinking Spanish Fork? No, they're not. But you could be all the way down here and your commute to that address at 8 o'clock in the morning works. You just opened up more options for them. Okay. But you'll notice it doesn't get, it's, and it sometimes if you do it right here, it looks kind of funny. If you do, I'll show you another one. Let's go this. Okay. So let's change this to, will you look up the address? Well, why don't you look up the address for like the Loveland Aquarium? You know where that is in Draper? I just want to show you this one because this one is one that'll get a little bit funky. Okay. 033. Goodness gracious, I'm hitting like accidental keys all over the place. Okay. Okay, so watch what happens to this map. Look at that. Okay, like parts of Taylorsville will do it, but like see how like just kind of gets all funky, right? So this will be super useful for you. Right? Go fiddle with it. You'll be surprised sometimes how far it will actually reach. When someone tells you, "Oh, I work right here by Fashion Place Mall. I need to be within 30 minutes." They're going to cap like, "No, I can't be farther than this." But then you run the commute time and they're blown away by how far they can actually be if they wanted or are willing to. Yes. You can run like multiple searches, but it only lets you have, actually, I think, let me double check. I think it only lets you have one here. I don't think it lets you have like, does it give you two overlays? No, it doesn't. Yeah, just one at a time. Okay.
The one like that's easy, like
So all you do there is you go down here to county. So I would go like, okay, I want to be looking in Utah County. What cities do they want to look in? They want to be in American Fork, Cedar Hills, Linden, and Pleasant Grove. Okay. Do any of you guys have any questions about this kind of stuff? And then right here, this is a tricky one that gets a lot of people. So your client says, I want 3-bed, 2.5 bath. Okay. Here's the hard part about bath, like narrowing by bath. Here it's full bath. Here is 3/4 bath. Here is half bath. But down here is total. So if they need 3 bathrooms, meaning 2.5 or more, then you can throw a 3 in there and it will still come up with like 2.5. Even though you've put 3 here, this is just bathrooms, all bathrooms. Right? Now, one of them may be a full bath, one may be a 3/4 bath, one may be a half bath. It's just 3 toilet spaces, basically, is what it is. Okay? Makes it a little bit easier. If you want to sort, if you got like older clients and they need master on the main, you can go right here. Primary bedroom floor, first floor.
wait, can you show us how far that there?
Well, right here is where I'm saying, I never use this when I'm narrowing by bathroom. Never, because agents don't always list stuff correctly, right? If they say, I need 2 tubs, that's 2 full bathrooms, right? There are idiots listing homes for sale. A lot of them, unfortunately. And they may have marked a 3/4 bath as a full bath, even though there's no tub. Yeah.
But you're trusting, Cody's point is you're trusting all the other agents out there
To have done it right.
I wouldn't trust with watching my child. Like, you're trusting that they're putting in good data, and so that's part of the reason you have wider parameters, is because if they mark something 3/4 bath or open instead of a 3/4, like, you kind of have to verify everything.
And did you know what are the limits of something qualifying as a bedroom? You don't even have to have a closet. All you have to have is a window. A lot of agents don't know that. They think there has to be a closet. So your client may say it has to be 3-bedroom. So you set it a 3-bedroom, but there's an agent who thinks, oh, it doesn't have a closet, it doesn't qualify as a bedroom. But it does. So they don't list it as a 3-bedroom when really it does. And that's, again, that's a listing that you're missing now. Okay. So you're trying to compensate in your search for agents who may have done something incorrectly. And sometimes the pin, I've had the pin be inaccurate a lot of times. So like when they verify the location, when they create the listing, they do it wrong. And so if you're looking by the map, it might be off that way too. Okay, I had one that I was showing a client. It came up on the map over in like West Draper, across the west side of the freeway. Dude, the address was clear on the east side of the freeway. The agent just didn't bother looking when he was like just clicking through to get it listed. Okay. Do any of you guys have any questions about this? Awesome. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Again, challenge their thinking a little bit when they tell you, I need this. Why? We need a 1/4 acre. Why? Do you really need a 1/4 acre? For what? Well, we need some outdoor space. Okay, that's different than a 1/4 acre. What do we need outdoor space for? And if you tell me you need a 1/4 acre, I can show you a home that's a 1/5 of an acre that will have a bigger yard than a home that's a 1/4 acre because the way the home is set on the lot. Right? The setbacks or whatever it may be. Maybe the space just isn't used well. I can show you a 3,000 square foot home that will feel bigger than a 3,500 square foot home, right? So again, challenge their thinking a little bit. Ask them why they think what they think, because you are trying to open up more options rather than fewer. And again, tell them like, hey, if we get a ton of options here and we're just like overwhelmed by like, man, there's a ton. Okay, now we can like narrow it a little bit. Get a little bit more of what you want. Okay. Big thing is, when working with anybody, buyer, seller, it's not your job to be a yes man. Your job is to represent your clients. And sometimes that means like just speaking openly and honestly with them in order to get them in a position to succeed. Okay, next thing you want to do is get them off the frickin' home search sites. Oops, get them off Zillow. Not just Zillow, all sites. Okay, so I ask them, hey, where have you been looking for homes online? Almost always the answers are Redfin, Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, whatever they may be, okay? And that's why I say to them, okay, can I ask you a favor? Stop. It's important that you guys know, why do you not want them to be looking on Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, all this kind of stuff? Okay. It's occasionally it's inaccurate, but more importantly, occasionally they'll be missing some info. Okay, so that's part of it.
Yes, the clients will think they're reaching out sometimes to the listing agent, but it's really another buyer's agent who's trying to sign them to show them.
So I still buy some leads from Realtor.com just because I live in Vineyard. Vineyard's my hood, and I buy Vineyard leads because if I can try to steer sucky people away from Vineyard and the good one, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. But it's like right in my backyard, right? Like I know a lot about Vineyard. So I buy some leads for Vineyard. So for example, I've got a showing today at noon right after this at a townhome in the north end of Vineyard. It's actually the owner of Flagship Homes. It's his daughter came through as a lead, talked to her, her dad's coming with her. But anyway, so there's nothing wrong with getting leads that way. But like Kyle said, a lot of them, they think they're reaching out to the listing agent. So it's a little bit tricky. But more importantly, I just tell them like, hey, those sites, like they're using your info to market to you. Yes, it's a home search site, but they're giving you the search so they can market to you. How do they market to you? They sell your info to realtors. That's how they're making their money. They're selling your info to realtors. And I tell people that like, oh, that sounds bad to everybody, right? Selling your info sounds bad, but that's what it is. Oh,
We're gonna get more phone calls from realtors trying to sign them. And they don't want those phone calls.
Yep.
Because then they have to explain, I'm already signed.
and you run the risk of, okay, so let's say that you have a client, you've signed a buyer broker, okay? So they've committed to any home that I buy in the next 6 months, you are obligated a 3% commission, okay? They've committed to pay you a 3% commission on any home they buy in the next 6 months. Then they're on Zillow, They click a button. I like this home. I want to see this home. Someone calls them. They think it's the listing agent. They think, oh, this person called me. I have to talk. If I want to see the home, I have to see it with them. They go see it with them. They don't know that they find out there that it's not the listing agent, but that person showed it to them. So now they end up making an offer with that person. Now they've got 2 buyer brokers. They've committed commission on this transaction. The buyer has committed commission on this transaction to you and an agent from that Zillow hooked them up with. What happens? You've been working with them for 3 months, showing them homes constantly, and now they buy a home with someone else. You coming after that buyer for the commission? If you say yes, you're a dick. First of all, I'm sorry, but they didn't understand. And why didn't they understand? Because you didn't explain it to them. You didn't help them understand. Okay, so we've got to protect ourselves at the beginning, right? Okay, I want you to get off Zillow for a few reasons. 1, they're going to sell your data to realtors. 2, the information isn't always going to be as accurate. I don't want to get you in a situation where the info isn't correct and you're talking to a realtor that is just trying to get your business, even though you're already working with me. But, a big part of it is, again, I told you that I want to limit frustration, right? I want to help you be happy and have fun through this. I would say probably half the time, the criteria that people give me, their head and their heart don't align. They give me what they know they need, but that's not the homes they like. So if they use utahrealestate.com, they use the MLS to search. When they favorite homes, I can see what they've favorited. And that is super helpful because the quicker that I can identify a disconnect between what they tell me we're searching for and what they like, the sooner I can work through that with them, and the sooner we can get past any frustration they may have by, dude, Cody's sending me homes I don't even like. Yeah, because I'm operating under the parameters and the criteria you gave me. You're not. Does this make sense? So I want to get their head and their heart in the same spot faster because I don't want them to be frustrated with me. So I explain it to them, be like, hey, when you favor stuff, it shows it to me. And you know what I'll see pretty quick? I'll see pretty quick if the homes you like are not the ones that you told me we're looking for. And that's okay. It's common, but I don't want you to be annoyed with me that I'm sending you homes that you don't like because I'm sticking to the criteria we talked about. So I like to just address it sooner so we can work through it. It's in your best interest for us to do that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to invite them to connect on utahrealestate.com. Have you guys done this before? Okay, so you go right here to clients, client manager. Add new client, first name, last name, email, and it will send them an email asking them to connect with you through utahrealestate.com. All they do is create a password. Now they can download the app and log in and favorite and all that kind of stuff just like normal. But the best part is none of the stuff that they do there is getting sent to another agent. It's going to you, right? Connecting them deeper with you. So the information is going to be more accurate. They're not selling your info to another realtor, and it's going to help me better serve you and help you search better.
Be aware, you guys, that when you have them as a new client, it sends them a connection invitation email.
Yeah.
They have to accept that connection or they won't see your daily listing. So if you set them up with a daily email of stuff that meets their criteria, Cody's gonna talk about that in a minute. Some clients want to look on their own. They need to accept that invitation. Once in a while, it ends up in a spam folder as well. So give them a warning that they need to accept that, especially if they think they're gonna start getting things.
Yes, Sophia.
The website MLS.
This is the MLS. Yeah, this is the MLS.
Like make a list of homes you think and send them to them.
Yep. So what you would do, so when I do this search, actually we'll just go, so I've got this search that we did, right? I can go right here and create a listing alert. Okay. So I give it a name. Now here is where I'm going to differ from a lot of other agents. A lot of agents are like, oh, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy. Everyone loves to think and claim they're busy, right? I think that it is seen as a virtue now to be busy, and it's stupid, right? I'm not too busy to take a few minutes to take care of my clients. So I actually do not have my clients receive listing alerts. Do you know why? There's a lot of listings right now. They're going to get bombarded. Every time a price changes on a listing that checks their boxes, they'll get another email about it. So I have listings that were changing the price every week. They're going to get that over and over and over again. Do you know how quickly people tune out emails that they're getting if they are repetitious? You don't want them to tune out the homes you're sending them, right? You want them to stay engaged. So I tell my clients, hey, I'm going to set up a listing alert. These aren't going to go to you. They're going to come to me and I will vet them and send you the ones that look like they work. Again, the big reason behind all of this is because I want my clients to be helpless little babies and need me for everything. My clients 2 years after they buy a home will call me, Cody, this happened. What do we do? Like, oh, I got you. I'm going to have my HVAC guy call you, right? I want to be seen as the source for all their solutions. Okay. So that's the big reason that I do it. But again, so here's what I do is I go down here. I don't click a client in here to get these. I go down here to when do I want the alerts? I go express. The minute a home is listed that checks this criteria, I want to know. The minute the price changes on a home that fits this criteria, I want to know. Okay, express alerts. It will default to a year from now before this thing shuts off. I leave that, and then when I go under contract with the client, I go and I shut it off myself. Okay. It'll send email to me. Email, like if I didn't select anybody, it's not going to email anybody but me. And then you just go right here and you give it a name. Okay. But what I do as well, which really helps me, is I go down here into the email message and I list the criteria that I used.
I do it a little differently. Some of my clients want to get that daily
Yep.
email, but I always send it to me as well, and I'm reviewing them, and then I'm texting them, hopefully at least once every week or two, saying, hey, did you see this one today? This one is awesome. I think we should go see this one. Hey,
Yeah.
this one's really close, but it misses these. And that reminds them that I'm also looking at it.
Yep.
And, you know, even if there's nothing great coming through, send them a message every week or 2 or 3 so that they know they're looking.
So part of the only reason that I don't do that, and again, this is not like that's a bad decision, this is a good decision, right? This is like, how do you want to operate? Okay. The part of the reason that I don't do that, I don't want my clients to like, oh, he just got this thing that is set up that he doesn't have to do any work for. I want them to view it as like, man, Cody's like actively looking for me. Okay.
Psychological.
Yeah. Like I want them like, but also I've had so many clients tell me that when they bought their last house, every home they went and saw was one that they found and sent to their realtor. And even if it gets emailed to them, they like it and they reach out to you to go see it, they still view that as they are asking you to see homes. instead of you saying, hey, I found this. What do you think? Does it work? Okay. Again, this isn't necessarily a good and bad. This is, how do you want to do it? I want my clients to be like eating out of my hands. Okay. So everything that I do with the purpose of, holy crap, Cody does everything for me.
And if you only have 2 or 3 clients that are actively looking for clients, you can easily look through those every day in 10 minutes.
Well,
How do you do it with as many clients as you have?
so if I get an email with a listing alert, no matter when it is, I open it up and look at it right then. A lot of times I just shut it down. That doesn't look like they'll like it. And I ignore it, right? I would say probably like 10% of the listings that come through make their way to my client. But again, you guys, we get paid really freaking well. Do you know that? Like, I would say, Kyle, so on the average buyer, how many actual hours do you think you spend for that buyer? In terms of showings, comps, negotiation, inspection?
Buyer right now, this is probably, but I knew they were gonna be very, very picky. I've shown them big deals.
But
That's like $1 million price.
but that's far and away the exception rather than the rule.
50 hours at this point, easily. But I knew they were gonna be busy, but they're buying $1 million on one, so I'm gonna be.
Okay, so what do you guys think is a really good dollar per hour that you make? Like your income, it's not like an attorney, right? Like billable hours, they bill $300 an hour, but the attorney doing the work doesn't see $300 an hour, right? That goes to the firm, right? So what is $150 an hour?
That's amazing.
Okay.
What?
Let's see, on a $500,000 house, if you get 3% commission and you spent 100 hours on that client, which you won't have, that's $150 an hour. Okay, we get paid really freaking well, right? You can take the time to look through your email at homes and then send them to your client instead of having them get the automated alerts, right? And again, a lot of this is an ego thing. Real estate is unfortunately an ego business largely. And everyone likes to think they're so busy and so important, and it takes them away from what they originally thought about themselves when they got into the industry, which is, I want to take care of my clients. And it morphs from that into, I want to take care of me. If you take care of your clients, you'll be taken care of. You don't have to worry about it. As long as you're still like doing a good job of like generating business. Okay, let's go through scheduling showings real quick. So if we go back here, okay, this one looks perfect for my client. Let's click on this. I like to use Aligned. Okay. When you use Aligned, it will show up in your Google Calendar if you have your Google email linked to your MLS account. It'll show up in your Google Calendar. I don't use that calendar invite. I duplicate it, send invites to my clients, and then I adjust the lead time, all that kind of stuff. But you want to be smart about your time too. Now, right now, when you're not super busy, it's not as big a deal. But as you get busier, you're going to have to maximize your time. So I have a client that sent me a home they want to go see. And I said, okay, great. Here's 8 others. You need to pick 2 of them. We're not driving out there to see one house. Because there are others that I know they would like. So let's go see a few. And when I'm doing that, I need to then do some homework. I need to pull up Google Maps. I need to look this time of day, what's the drive time from that showing to this showing? What's the drive time from that showing to this showing? And if I'm going to be there from anywhere from 15 to 40 minutes, I need to adjust my request times accordingly, right? So the first showings I do, I have like a 30-minute showing requested. But by the third and fourth showing, I'm asking for an hour because I don't know when in that hour I will get there. I might get there early, I might get there late, so I want a full hour, right? This is where you have got to be the strategic one about where am I going? I need to map them out to make the best route. Last week, there was one day I showed 19 homes to 3 different clients, right? In different places. So I've got to map out, okay, these guys all want to see homes. So that means I've got to start here with these guys, boom, 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 and then navigate up around to these other, right? Like I have to be smart about my time. And it drives me nuts. I had a showing yesterday on one of my listings that he texts me 15 minutes after his showing is ended. Say, hey, we're running late. Can we come in 30 minutes? No, my client was gone from the house for an hour. He works from home and he left for an hour and you didn't show up and you didn't let me know. Right? It's because that person either wasn't strategic about how they scheduled or there was just no communication, one or the other. My client would have been fine if they would have texted 15 minutes in saying, hey, we're way behind. We won't get here till this time. My client would have been fine to go home, now work, and then leave later. But they didn't do that. So now they've got to come back today, right? So this is where you've got to be just proactive, think ahead, plan. And scheduling showings through here is really easy. If you haven't used Aligned, I love Aligned. It's way better than freaking showing time. But you just go here, choose the date, all that kind of stuff, and just schedule through here. Yeah, Kyle.
One thing I found as a newer agent was I was always hesitant sometimes to call the listing agent. Some agents will restrict showing spots to 10, 20, or 30 minutes. Well, if I have a client looking at 5,000 square foot, well, 20 minutes is not enough. I need only 5, depending on the client. And then if I'm planning in some extra buffer time, I might also need some additional time. When that happens, especially if the agent hasn't gone into Aligned and given you more than 30-minute max window for showing, call them. Don't be afraid to pick up your phone. If they don't answer, text them. Hey, this is Kyle with KWSville. I'm trying to schedule this showing. You're the 3rd one in our list. We were hoping for an hour. Can we schedule for here and here? So Aligned won't let.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call another agent.
Actually, don't message people through frickin' the Aligned app. People don't always look. They don't always respond. It makes it a little bit hard. But there are a few things when it comes to like actually showing homes that you want to be super aware of. Especially the first one, get there before your clients. So if I've told my clients, hey, the showing is at 1, I will have requested it from 12:45. I get there a little bit early, I go around and I flip every light on. Now keep in mind, my job is not to sell my clients on the house I'm showing them, right? I don't care if they like this house. I want to help them figure out if they like this house, okay? So my job isn't to like, oh, I want to create this great experience so they like this house so my job goes faster. My job is, all right, I'm going to go flip everything on. I'm going to look around, anything that maybe I see before they get there, and I'm going to open all the blinds and everything because I want to let them see this home in its true light, right? The best foot forward situation. But if something sucks, I'm going to say that it sucks. I don't care if they like this house. My job isn't to sell them on a house. The cool thing about real estate is it's like the only sales job where the only person you don't have to sell anything to is your own client. I don't have to sell my client a house, right? I sell them on, I am going to help take care of you. Beyond that, I don't care which house you buy. I don't care which lender you use. I don't care which title you use. My job is to navigate you to the best solutions and to help you figure out what those are. Okay, but I get there ahead of them. I flip open blinds, I flip on all the lights, I walk around, try to identify maybe anything that I'm seeing that maybe they won't pick up on. There will be a lot of those things. Okay, because they're overwhelmed. There's a lot of new stuff. So you're going to be looking for those things. Let's see. And then when you go from like house to house, that's the only time that I freaking speed like a bat out of hell. Because again, I want to get there before they do. I want to get to the next house before they do. That is not true. You have ridden with me. I do not.
Like
5 on the freeway.
I'm like a solid 5 miles an hour over. Okay, just make sure you, again, schedule a longer showing than you think you will need. And then again, go into Google Calendar. You may not be this way, but I'm getting old and forgetful. And if it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist, right? I will forget if it's not in my calendar. My wife has not adjusted. Hey, I told you about this. I told you to send me an invite. I don't have an invite. This is on you, right? Like, so I operate by my calendar, but again, this shows your clients that you are structured, you're proactive, you're trying to make sure that they are aware of what's going on, right? So I create a calendar event in Google. I add their emails as invitees. I put the address, and I even click on the little map button to make sure it's the right address, because sometimes it takes you to the wrong location through Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever, okay? So I put that in there. And then I go in there and sometimes I'll give myself multiple reminders. So if it's a showing that is a 15-minute drive from me, I'll set a 45-minute reminder for myself and a 15-minute reminder. The 15-minute is like, get the hell out of here and go. The 45-minute is like, I need to start wrapping stuff up so I can make sure I'm there, right? So again, you want to be proactive, make sure you're not running late, that kind of stuff. Then if you're going and seeing multiple homes, print out the MLS info sheet, not the agent full report, the client full report, okay? Print out the client full report, have a little folder or whatever for your clients, and bring a pen so they can take notes. Homes will start to blend together for them really quickly. And if they don't jot down things they like about them, they will forget which house had this thing that I liked. They'll forget. Which one had the barking dogs next door, that kind of stuff. Okay, I've got a couple more things to go through, but we're already at 10:50. Want me to keep going or do you want me to wrap up?
Should I tell them their homework?
Go for it.
If you have not seen a house, you need to go show a house. Ideally, this is with a person and not a new construction. And vacant, so you're not just interrupting people to go see whatever house you want. Because I want to make sure you can get in the house for supers working and then you can actually show a house like Cody was talking about, so.
And as you're going through, look for things that you think the average person wouldn't have noticed. Okay.
Give feedback.
Oh, yeah.
Be something nice, because you might be showing a house that it might be their only showing they have. And so give them some feedback.
Do you have recommendations on how that they find the house is vacant?
There's the checkbox. You can look for vacant homes. You remember when you're listing a home, it says showing instructions, there's the vacant.
Showing.
So if you've checked that, it says vacant. Right. Yeah.
I'll put it in.
Well, the thing that's annoying, honestly, I've had agents try to like show up and get into homes that are not vacant when they don't have a showing scheduled. So all of my Supras have a CBS code on them because I've had people show up without an approved showing and they'll try to get into my listings, assuming that every home that's for sale is vacant. And like, anyway, yeah, like assume they are not vacant. Okay, but
So sometime this week, go show a house, schedule it all, do all of that, and take a person with you. You don't need a buyer broker with that person because you're seeing it for you. But I need scheduling.
What is the CBS code and how do you transfer the client credit over the week?
so if you go, so it defaults. So go here. So this will, oh crap, that's not what I wanted. So this will default to, I'm going to copy this. Okay, so right here you see it says agent full report. That's what it defaults to. But if you go down here to client full report, where is it? There we go, client full report. It just leaves off like the listing agent's contact info and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you bet. It kind of depends. So if we're seeing like 2 homes, no. But I would say probably 75% of the time that I'm showing homes, it's like a bunch. So I've got some clients right now that we went and saw 11 homes on last Friday. They're not going to remember from one to the next. Remind me, was that the one that had this? They don't remember. And I don't either.
Well, if they don't want the sheet, sometimes I have clients who love the sheet and they take notes on it. Other times they don't want it. I'll jot notes, or if we're seeing 4 or 5, I'll say, all right, what out of 10 did you give it? And I jot that at the top because then we can eliminate
Yep.
some of them and say, oh, you didn't like this one. Hey, you like this one. Let's think about it.
And-
And it also keeps me straight because if they're writing with me, I'll go over the 5 key stats, right? How many square feet, when it was built, size of the lot, how many car garage, it refreshes me on what this house has. And when I look at the pictures in detail, it helps jog my memory.
Yep.
So I know more about that house before we walk into it. So half of it's for me.
Yeah. The one thing I didn't mention is when you get into showing homes, clients will ask you, and it's the stupidest thing to assume. They'll be like, well, what do you think this house is worth? Freaking, I don't know. And I tell my clients, like, look, I'm showing 20 plus homes like every week. I don't run comps on every one of them before we come, because half of them you'll know in 13 seconds that you don't like it. I legitimately, and I tell them, I'm like, hey, unfortunately, like, I don't have the time to run comps on every home when half of those will end up being immediate no's. I don't have the time to do that. What we're doing here when we see homes is deciding if you like it and deciding if you even care what the comps look like. If you like it, now I go to work finding out how's it priced, finding out what the seller situation is, all that kind of stuff. Okay, does that make sense? And again, I tell them this in like this consult when I'm talking, hey, get off Zillow, we're going to schedule some showings. Now, just so you know, when we do showings, I don't run comps ahead of time. I run comps if you tell me you like the house and we may be interested. That's when I try to find that out. CBS code is like a secondary. So do you have your E-key, your super E-key already? Okay. So if you haven't gotten that, you need to get it. Get set up with the super E-key. You have to do your code of ethics with the board so you can get your super E-key. Okay. That's so you can access lock boxes.
All lock boxes have the same.
No, so what they are is, so they're blue. The brand is called Supra, and when you get your E-key access to that, that makes it so that you just with an app, you're able to unlock the lock boxes. Use Bluetooth and GPS, you're able to unlock the lock box. But the benefit is it tracks everybody that opened it and when, right? So you can track it that way. However, anybody that has E-key access, home inspectors, appraisers, realtors, anyone can open it. They don't have to have anything to open it other than they have a super E-key. So even if they, like, let's say someone wanted to get into your listing at midnight, technically they could. You would know who opened it, but that's all. At that point, like, it doesn't alert you when they open it. It gives you a report later. So you don't know that someone is at that house right then trying to open it. Does this make sense? So I use a CBS code. So CBS code is it stands for call before showing, is what CBS stands for. It's call before showing. But basically, I have got a code that I've got set up on every one of my lock boxes. And when I've got it set up in Align, do you remember where I was showing you how you schedule a showing? I have my Align set up that when I when someone requests a showing, once I've approved it, it will pop up with showing instructions. One of those will be the CBS code. But it annoys the crap out of me when agents call me like, oh, Cody, I'm trying to get in, but there's a CBS code. Yeah, you got the instructions emailed to you when I approve the showing. Like, you should know how to get in. Check the instructions. So if you ever get somewhere and you can't find the lockbox or whatever, go into Aligned and look at the actual showing instructions. Almost every time it's got it there, telling you either where the Supra is, maybe there is no Supra, maybe it's a code to open the front door and the code is there or something. Or front door will be unlocked, garage code. Yeah, honestly, like I had a showing in Springvale, my client, he didn't have keys to the house. He didn't want a lockbox on his front rail. So every time someone showed it, he just left the house unlocked. So my showing instructions were, it will be unlocked. Please don't lock it on your way out. Okay. So again, check those showing instructions, right? And again, check them before your client gets there. You don't want to look like a bumbling idiot not being able to figure out what's going on.
I print off my MLS report. If there's specific instructions, a CBS code, I'll screenshot it usually on my phone, so I'm not waiting for cell service to pull up my messages, or I'll just jot it at the top of the MLS sheet that I have.
I throw it in I throw it in the notes. If there's like something out of the ordinary, like there's a CBS code or whatever, I throw it in the notes of my calendar event that I've created. Because then again, I don't need to wait for the Aligned app, which is sometimes really slow. I don't have to wait for it to load. My calendar, it's ready to go, right? So that's how I do that, a little bit easier. Okay, I've just got a couple more things real quick. Okay, again, get there before the buyer. Okay, here's a big thing. You need to point out both positive and negative things because you want your client to understand and believe that you are a impartial third party in terms of on this house. I don't care if you like this house. I'm going to point out things. Now, it doesn't mean that if you think something is weird, that you're like, oh, look at this stupid thing. They may like that. But if there's maybe an odd thing, be like, okay, let's make sure we take notice of this. This is a little bit out of the ordinary. Do you like that? Does that bug you? I'll ask them. Okay. Again, I'm trying to help them figure out how they feel about it. They may not know. They may not have noticed that. You don't want them to, for the first time, to notice this weird thing after they've bought the house. And they're like, oh man, I didn't even think about that. Okay. We want to help them work through these thoughts ahead of time. Okay. Again, focus on things the average person would miss. So part of that is going to be like, okay, so we're here at 11 a.m. There's nothing going on, but we're across the street from a church, which means you're likely going to have some parking issues on a Sunday out in front of your house. If you don't care, that's great. Make sure we think about it. Decide how you feel about that, right? So I'm trying to point out things beyond just the house, the neighborhood. Hey, this is a corner lot. This is a little bit of a busy street. Is that going to be a problem for you? Yes, you don't front the busy street, but it's on the side of your house. Right, yeah, like, hey, this is north facing. The driveway is not going to melt very well. You're going to be shoveling more in the winter. That's not a positive or negative. The house may outweigh the north facing driveway. And that's great if it does. What's that? See, my house is west facing. I shovel my driveway one time a winter. Because by the time it's warmed up enough in the day, the sun is up and over my house. And now it spends all afternoon melting my driveway. It's great.
Yep.
Exactly. The backyard is shaded all the time. It's wonderful. And again, things like that, right? Like, hey, make sure you're aware. The master is on the west side of the house. So later in the day, your master bedroom will be warm. Okay? Again, you're pointing out things that maybe they won't have thought through. And again, I don't try to research ahead of time. I don't call. One thing that drives me nuts, I like it when I'm the listing agent, but I get calls from buyer's agents saying, hey, is there anything great about the house you want me to highlight? Yeah, I'll tell you. That's a stupid thing for you to be doing. Like, your job isn't to sell the house to your client. Right? Now, if I know they like the house, then I call the agent like, hey, anything that I may have missed about the house. Okay, the other thing is you are, in that showing, you are trying to look for and point out leverage. If you're going through the house and there's kid stuff in bedrooms and there are spots where it's clear there was a family photo and there's not a family photo, and there's only wife's clothes in the master closet, you're likely dealing with a divorce scenario. Okay? That is awesome. Listing agents should never tell you that, but they will more than they should. Why is it good for you if it's a divorce, if you're representing the buyer? Okay, so they typically want to go faster, or they have to go faster. What else? Okay, so let's say, Sophia, you're married, right? and you and your husband are selling your house, and I'm asking for a $20,000 discount. How much money am I asking for? $20,000. Now, let's say you're getting divorced, and I ask for a $20,000 discount. Am I asking for $20,000 from you? I'm asking for 10. I'm asking for 10 from you, 10 from you. That's way easier to stomach than 20 as a whole. Make sense? Okay, so I'm finding opportunities and leverage that I can find. Also, if you, through the showings with your client, if you can tell they really like this house, when I am walking back out of the house, I look around and see if any neighbors are out. Because guess who does not have a fiduciary duty to loyalty and non-disclosure? Neighbors. And you know who usually likes to spill the tea? Neighbors. Okay, they will tell you things about that person's scenario that are going to help you. Okay, so I'll just walk straight up to a neighbor and be like, hey, my clients really like this house. Can you tell me a little bit about the neighborhood? So I make it seem as if like from the bat, like right off the bat, we're just trying to like see what kind of area this is. And then, yeah, but what's the seller situation? You know where they're going? Okay, they'll tell you. Oh, absolutely. Like, hey, there's chickens. Chickens bring mice. They can be. So we had chickens next door to us. I told my neighbor when he got them, I'm like, hey, Ash, I love you, buddy. If we start getting mice, chickens are gone. He's like, okay, that's fair. Chickens, they weren't very loud. We'd hear them like once every few days for a little bit, and it wasn't. Okay. Yeah, like we really didn't hear them much, and they were like right on the other side of our fence, and our yard is small. We're in vineyard. Everything's small in vineyard, right? So, but we ended up getting mice after a little while. So guess who got rid of the chickens? So what's that? And like, luckily he was great about it. Like the first one I saw, I was like, hey, Ash. He goes, did you find one? I'm like, yeah, that means they're at your house too. So he was good about it though. Okay, and then the other thing that you want to tell them is you want them to know when you're in those showings that you're a badass. Okay? And that you are going to fight harder for their money than anybody else does. And honestly, I fight harder for my clients' money even than they want to sometimes. I am usually encouraging them to offer less and to ask for more. People are hesitant to do that. Most people view negotiation as confrontation. I'm teaching the negotiation class on February 2nd. Most agents don't want to negotiate. You know why? Because agents are people. And everybody views negotiation as confrontation, and they don't like confrontation. So you know how they negotiate? Most people? They draft an offer with a price and send it in an email. That's their negotiation. Okay, it's weak. But what you're trying to do is put them in a good spot. So what we do is, so let me see. Okay. What you want to do is through these showings, you want to explain things to your client. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. You like the house? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see if I can grab some neighbors and find out what's going on with the seller. I'm also going to call the listing agent, see what they'll tell me. They'll tell me more than they should. They shouldn't tell me anything. They will. Then what we're going to do, I'll run some comps, see how the home is priced. Two things we need to know. Is it going to appraise? Okay, because we can't buy it for more than it appraises for. Well, it's the appraised value, but also more importantly than what the appraised value is, how, like in the current market with what's available around it, how is it priced? Just because the appraisal says that it will appraise, if there's 3 houses available within 3 blocks that are similar and cheaper, that means I can get this price down. Okay? And dollars are not all created equal. Okay? So to a seller, if I'm asking for a $20,000 price reduction, or if I'm asking for a $10,000 price reduction and $10,000 in concessions, the seller doesn't care. Those are the same. Okay, does that make sense? But it's not necessarily the same to your buyer, right? A $20,000 price reduction maybe their payment drops $150 a month, but $10,000 out of their pocket right now is a big deal. So if I can get the price down $10,000 and get $10,000 of closing costs covered, that is likely much more valuable to my client than a $20,000 price reduction. Does this make sense? So this is where I talk through these things with my client right then. Like, hey, I'm going to go through, I'm going to figure all this stuff because we want to know what to offer, but also we want to know the best way. If let's say we've got $20,000 of leverage here with them, we want to make sure we use it in a way that benefits you as much as possible. That might be reducing the price. And if that's what you care about most, great, we're good. But it may benefit us more to use that somewhere else. Okay, and again, I talk through all of this with them ahead of time. Let's see. When you call the listing agent, you want the listing agent to feel like you are on their side, because that's when they start to tell you things they shouldn't tell you. I call them and say, hey, client likes the house. Tell me about your client. How can we make this easy for you? What does your seller want? Beyond the price, obviously price is price. What does your seller want? What timeline do they need? Okay, because let's say the seller needs to go faster, right? Or want to go faster. They would love to close in 25 days. I respond every time with, ooh, okay, I don't know if that's going to work. Let me see what I can do. Because now I've just given them the idea that my client's not going to like that. But I will get them to do that if you agree to give us something we want. Right? So that's how I kind of like prep the situation for my buyer. So I'm going to talk to the listing agent, tell them I'm going to make this easy, and then find out what things the seller wants that you can give that your client probably doesn't even care about. Your client might already have a washer and dryer. The seller doesn't want to leave their washer and dryer. I make it seem like this is a big deal. Ooh, yeah, I mean, I typically, like a lot of my clients really want the washer and dryer. They're first time buyers. They don't have one. So, and again, I'm not going to lie to them, but I am going to use general statements that are true. Hey, most of my buyers don't have a washer and dryer. I'll have to see what I can do. They may really want the washer and dryer, but I'll see if we can remove that. They may need, some concessions to make up for it though. Okay, so for example, under contract with Arrive Homes, their $10,000 incentive is if you're using their lender. We're at $15,000 in incentives without using their lender, and we're making them provide washer, dryer, and fridge. Right? So this is where I called the listing agent, found out what pressure point, how long has this one been? I know I can see how long it's been on the MLS. How long has this listing been frustrating for you? How long has your boss been bugging you to get rid of this one? Right? I can poke some holes. So, okay, that's all I've got. Do you guys have any questions for me? They're always on at 9:30.
Is it part of price?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, solid. Okay, so let's hear it.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good luck, you guys. Buyers are fun, especially right now. You can get whatever the freak you want if you find a seller that has to sell. Not all of them do. Right now it's kind of funky because there's like 50% of listings have no urgency. They don't have to sell. If they can sell for a point that makes sense, then they'll do it, but they don't have to. And then the other 50%, they've got to get out of Dodge. And you've got them over a barrel and you can negotiate like a banshee. It's awesome. So being like, if you can have buyers right now, that's where the money will be made. Listings right now is a lot of work and they're taking a lot of time. But you need both. Okay. Yeah. Good luck, you guys.